So over the last few games, Dylan Harper has found a boatload of success, being able to provide an overwhelming amount of scoring for Rutgers University, averaging about 25 points per game, 5 rebounds and 5 assists, and just being that dominant scorer that Rutgers has recruited him to be. And with him having 37 against Alabama last night on Thanksgiving, it has put him in some very high conversations throughout the 2025 draft process. I've always been pretty high on Dylan Harper. I thought he was going to be a top 3 pick, but these past few hours, we have seen people say that Dylan Harper can be the number 1 pick in this draft. So in this video, I'm going to give you a case why he can be the number 1 pick and a case why he still isn't the number 1 prospect in this draft. So ladies and gentlemen, I am John Drummond. This is At the Buzzer Sports. Let's get right into the video. So Dylan Harper, son of 5-time champion Ron Harper, was a McDonald's All-American Game MVP, Jordan Brand Classic MVP, Morgan Wooden National Player of the Year, Gatorade High School Player of the Year, Naismith National High School Player of the Year finalist. He also attended the Nike Hoop Summit, was a John Wall Holiday Invitational MVP, and also played in the FIBA Men's Under-19 World Cup. Dylan Harper is also a 6'5" combo guard who averaged about 22 points per game at Don Bosco Prep High School. So when we look at Dylan Harper's game, there's been a lot of things that have been very intriguing that he has shown in his high school career that has translated over to his collegiate career so far throughout 7 games. As I said earlier in the episode, he is averaging 25 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, 5 assists per game on about 55, 27, 79 splits. And when I look at his game, there is a half-court creation that I love from Dylan Harper. The way he is able to get hit to his spots, the way he is extremely creative around the rim, the way he finishes around the rim, the way he has a touch around the rim, the way he's able to get himself open in the half-court, all of those things intrigue me. And when I look at the rim pressure that he puts on the rim when he's getting downhill, when he's getting low, and he's getting to the basket, and he's also taking free throw attempts. Over the past 3 games, Dylan Harper has attempted 30 free throw shots. 30. And in one game, he didn't take any. So after he had 37 points against Alabama on Thanksgiving, which he took about 16 free throw attempts in that game, a lot of people have been putting him in conversations that Dylan Harper may be able to go number 1. And as a 6'5", which is a great height for a combo guard, willing to dribble the ball, get to the basket, and score at a very high volume, you can kind of see the vision of him going number 1 overall. And obviously, we're going to be comparing his game to the consensus number 1 pick so far in the draft, Cooper Flagg. And while I do really like a lot of things in Dylan Harper's game, there are a lot of concerns that I have. As much as any other player in a drafting process, there are strengths and there are also concerns, and Dylan Harper does have some. I think the shooting has been a question so far. He has been very efficient from the mid-range. He has been very inefficient from beyond the arc, only 27% from 3. And as a guard who has really been inconsistent with his jump shot, that is something that is going to be questioned at the higher level. That's something that is going to be monitored very closely. I think his jump shot is a little low, like the arc is extremely low, and his release point is a little low as well, which is making it a little easier for NBA defenders who are more athletic, have a better size, and have a better weight at the NBA level. It's going to be kind of easier for them to block. And another thing that I have noticed throughout the 7 games that he has played is his playmaking is just a little bit underwhelming. Dylan Harper, obviously with the shooting concerns, has not been the best off-ball player. He is very ball dominant at the moment. And when he is getting doubled, when he's coming out of the pick and roll and he's getting blitzed, it kind of takes him a while to read the floor and make the proper decision. He also ends up picking up the ball when it's time for him to make a pass or for him to make a decision, which is something that can stall an offense a lot. And it takes a while for him to notice the open guy in the corner. It takes a while for him to notice the guy cutting to the rim, or it takes a while for him to notice the rolling big man out of the pick and roll when he is getting blitzed. So when we have a ball dominant guard who is not the best in blitz, not the best in double teams, not the best when he is driving to the rim and he kind of has tunnel vision, he puts his head down and he's just willing to get to the basket, that is something that NBA defenses are going to take advantage of. Once again, it's only been 7 games in his collegiate career so far, so these are a lot of things that are going to be touched up on. These are a lot of things that I believe are going to improve. But as of right now, especially being a lead guard for this Rutgers team, that is something that I would have a concern of, because it kind of stalls out the offense, and the offense kind of loses its groove, loses its touch, loses its flow, loses its pace once he has to pick up the ball and make a decision once he's already being double teamed or once he's in a bad spot under the rim. So if we could get him to improve on making those decisions a little bit faster, because the NBA is going to be at a much faster pace, they're going to be a lot better defenders. There are going to be guys that are a lot bigger than him. That is something that I believe that needs to be improved, because you are essentially going to go to a bad team if you are a top 3 pick in the draft. So when you have to walk in on day one and make these decisions for this team as a lead guard, and to be able to get guys involved and to be able to be that scorer, it kind of messes it up when you have that tunnel vision and you're looking down and you're not creating offense for these other NBA players around you. And now you have NBA level defenses really attacking you in traps, double teaming you, swatting at the ball. And if you have to pick up the ball to make a decision, it's going to stall out the offense and it's going to lead to a lot of turnovers. And the last concern I have is the defense. I mean, there are times this season where his effort on that side of the ball just is not there, whether it's at the point of attack, he's late on rotations, he cannot navigate screens, he cannot get through screens, he's not communicating on that side of the ball. And I've said this before, there is going to be a much faster game in the NBA. There are going to be a lot better offensive players in the NBA, and you are going to get picked on a lot. And for a guy who has great size, great length, great wingspan, great size, great height, you have the tools to be a respectable defender on that side of the ball. So if we want to get you better on the defensive side, it all starts with the effort, using your hands more, navigating screens better, just closing out on rotations, because sometimes he's not communicating or he's not really applying pressure on those rotations. It makes him late. He gives up a lot of three-pointers. He doesn't really try when someone is driving or they have the lane in the rim, and his recovery is bad. And I'm going to try not to talk about Cooper Flag as much in this video, because this video is about Dylan Harper. But when we compare Dylan Harper to Cooper Flag, I think there's obviously a defensive gap with the way Cooper Flag is almost extremely versatile as a defender, whether it's on ball, whether it's being a defensive playmaker, whether it's playing passing lanes, whether it's being a help side rim protector. There are just a lot of things Cooper Flag does well that could really negate Dylan Harper being a number 1 pick. And when we look at the offense, Dylan Harper is an inconsistent shooter. So is Cooper Flag. Cooper Flag is also 6'9" and extremely lengthy, which is going to make it easier for him to translate his rim finishing to the NBA. Cooper Flag also has a really underrated post game, the way he's able to work with his back to the basket or in his face-up game. And there's just a relentless drive that Cooper Flag has offensively and defensively that would make him the number 1 prospect. So when we look at Dylan Harper's game, I think one thing that could really help his number 1 overall case is if he was knocking down that jump shot consistently. But when I do look at the upside of Dylan Harper, I see a guy who's going to be able to score in the NBA at a really high volume. This could be a guy that could average 25 points per game, be on the All-NBA team multiple times, be an All-Star multiple times, and could really drive the force as an offensive player for a playoff team. When I look at his game, I see a lot of Jalen Brunson, the way he's able to play the in-between game, whether it's in the mid-range. He is extremely crafty as a finisher. He has a great touch around the basket, just like Jalen Brunson does. But one thing that really hurts Jalen Brunson is he's a little undersized. But Dylan Harper is 6'5". His rim finishing and his pressure he puts on the rim and the way he creates free throws for himself, that's going to lead to a lot of points. He also knocks down free throws consistently, and he really makes these tough shots around the rim where there's a bigger defender guarding him or there's a trap around the rim, and he positions himself so well around the basket, and he creates such a good amount of space, whether it's pull-up mid-range shots or putting his shoulder in someone's chest and creating space so he can get that layup off, or he can make an ankle for himself out of nothing to finish around the rim. And everything I said with the playmaking, I think that comes a lot with young guards. There's going to be young guards. We've seen it before. We see it now, and we're going to see it in the future. There's going to be a lot of young guards who may have trouble reading the floor within their first year or two in the NBA. But I do think that once the spacing opens up a little bit more at the higher level, the way he's able to burst in the half court, whether it's out of a pick and roll, whether it's out of isolation, he may get, depending on what big he plays with, he may get a lot more opportunities with dribble handoffs in the NBA. There's going to be a lot more shooting. I think once you get to that NBA level, there's going to be floor spaces around, which is going to make your job a lot easier. One of the best ways to generate offense is to drive to the rim. every paint touch is a good touch. So once you get those 2 feet into the paint and the defense collapses on you because you're so good at getting to the free throw line, you're so good at finishing around the rim, it's going to draw multiple defenders. Once he's able to learn that dribble, kick out, once he's able to learn how to read or to see defenses or to see the offensive player cutting to the basket, see the open guy in the corner, see the open guy at the top of the key behind him, because we've seen that in multiple possessions where he's just not looking for that, I think it's going to get a lot better. So for his ceiling, like I said earlier, I think this guy could be a 25, 4, and 8 guy in his career. I think Dylan Harper has the potential to be an all-NBA caliber player. I do think he has the potential to be a top 5 point guard in the NBA, and I do believe he has the potential to be a potential all-star. But if this does not go well, I still do believe that you can have a solid playmaker at his position. I think if you put him under the right coaching, I think Jordi Fernandez for the Brooklyn Nets would be a great situation for him, at least as the coaching, because I don't know if I necessarily love his fit next to Cam Thomas. But I think if you put the right coaching in front of him where he does become more of a defensive player, he is more engaged on that side. And once again, he's 6'5" and extremely athletic. That is somebody who can be an effort defender who can maybe guard the second best backcourt player, or somebody that can be a very good team defender and somebody who is just not a negative on the floor. And for his floor, I can see someone who is averaging 13 to 17 points per game. I still see him being a solid creator or a playmaker, maybe at 4 to 6 assists a night, and somebody who is going to be able to run an offense at a very solid level. So the question that I asked at the start of this video, can Dylan Harper go number 1 overall? Right now, it's only been 7 games of his collegiate career, and through those 7 games, I still do not believe he is a number 1 caliber prospect in this draft. I think just because we see a few flaws from Cooper Flagg, we kind of negate the fact that he is such a gifted defensive prospect on top of the potential that he has offensively. Also, we can't forget he's going to spend the first month or 2 in the NBA as an 18-year-old. And I think when you have that type of prospect that's so talented defensively and also has a very good offensive game, it's going to be really hard for Cooper Flagg to lose that number 1 spot. So while I think Dylan Harper has played great in his first 7 games, I do not believe it has been enough for him to be the number 1 pick in the draft. But I do not think that there is a prospect so far that has shown enough to take his place at number 2. I think right now, Dylan Harper and Cooper Flagg are like the favorites to go number 1 and number 2. And if the draft were to start tomorrow, it would be Cooper Flagg, it would be Dylan Harper, and then the draft starts. If you guys get what I'm saying, every year we kind of know when the real draft starts. In 2023, the Spurs picked Victor Wembanyama, and then the draft started. In 2022, we kind of knew like it's either going to be Paolo or Chet, and then the draft starts. In 2021, it was Cade, and then the draft starts. So while I do think Dylan Harper has put up some very impressive numbers, there still are some deficiencies that I see in his game that would really concern me if someone were to take him number 1 overall. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys like this type of content, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you guys want to see me on TikTok, it is at The Buzzer Sports. If you guys want to find me on Instagram, it is at The Buzzer Sports. If you guys want to find me on Twitter, better known as X, it is ATB Sports 1. And for all business inquiries, hit me up on Gmail at thebuzzersportsent@gmail.com. And once again, we upload videos daily, Monday through Saturday, around 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. And if you guys like this type of content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.